Good morning to the Honorable Ministers of the Council, members of the media, online and TV 15 viewers, radio listeners via Tel TV Plus, St. Martin Gov Radio 107.9 FM, and respective radio stations island-wide. I'm Rolika Roach, and welcome to the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, September 14th, 2022. At this time, I would like to invite the Honorable Minister of Finance, Artwell Edion, to address you. Minister Edion, you have the floor.
Good morning, Rolika. Good morning to my honorable colleagues. Good morning to the media. Good morning to the people of St. Martin. I'd first like to congratulate the 158th person that was awarded a loan through the Enterprise Support Project. 150 might seem like a small amount, but in terms of companies, it's a lot. And also this is an opportunity for them to also feed their family, also hire individuals. And I just want to also congratulate the team over at the Enterprise Support Project, the team under the NRPB, Anissa and Julissa France, and their team for doing a very good job on this. And I would like to also encourage companies, especially the medium, small, micro companies, to continue to apply for this opportunity, not just a loan, I would say an opportunity to be able to support your business. I'd also like to, in that same line, congratulate the credit team from last night for their Small Business Academy. I believe this was the 5th course, 10-week course. Again, I had an opportunity to judge their pitches, and I must say that the level of pitches and the businesses are leveling up every time. And I think it's a great step for St. Martin. I am very motivated to see these companies become a reality for St. Martin. Companies that believe we need, companies that fit the tourism model of our future growth and so forth. So I also want to thank Edsel, Tishana, Elvin, and the whole team, and the lecturer, Lucretia Lynch, for their efforts and contribution to the country of St. Martin, because they are fostering entrepreneurship. And I realize also there's a lot of entrepreneurship activities happening on the island. We had some event with the library. We have another effort in the Ministry of TIAT. The entrepreneurship is alive and well on the island, and I look forward to the outcome of these initiatives in the next few years. That'll be all, Rolika.
Thank you, Minister Edion, for your opening remarks. At this time, I would like to invite the Honorable Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport, Dr. Anders Rudolph Samuel, to address you. Viewing and listening public, as well as members of the media, please note that Minister Samuel will be leaving right after his opening remarks. Minister Samuel, you have the floor.
Thank you, Ms. Roach. Good morning to you. Good morning to the members of the media. Good morning to my colleagues, PM, and good morning to the people of St. Martin. The Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports wishes to inform the general public that the function book for education personnel 2016 was retroactively published last week. The function book, which is an attachment to the Bezoldiginglandsbesluit onderwijs, National Decree for Remuneration of Education Personnel, was published retroactively because it was not included in the publication of the Bezoldiginglandsbesluit onderwijs in May 2016. The Bezoldiginglandsbesluit onderwijs refers to the function book for education personnel. The function book, which had already been available via the Ministry of Education, Culture, and Sports to all stakeholders, has now been published with retroactive effect. My second item, the Ministries of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports, ECYS, Tourism, Economic Affairs, Transport and Telecommunication, TEAT, and the Corps Politie St. Martin, KPSM, held a collaborative meeting on September 9th, 2022, with school bus owners and operators to discuss solutions to address incidents which occur on school buses. The meeting was held as a result of the recent increase in incidents on school buses observed by the ministries. School bus operators provided insight on their experiences with incidents on their buses, and when they occur and where, and they were provided with a step-by-step protocol by KPSM and the ministries regarding how to respond when faced with incidents in general and those which pose a threat to students and bus operators in particular. The community police officer stressed to operators the importance of reporting incidents so that steps can be taken by the relevant authorities to address the matter. The Ministry of Education, Culture and Sports and TIAT would like to thank all stakeholders for participating in the discussions and look forward to continued collaboration to improve safety and efficiency of the school bus transportation system. Parents of students using the school buses are also reminded to talk to their children that they behave and know how to conduct themselves on the school buses. The following item. In October 2021, the first cohorts of students of the pre-law program of the Government of St. Martin, in collaboration with the University of Curaçao, started their studies. On Friday upcoming, the first 5 students will be graduating and will receive their diplomas. These 5 students of St. Martin will continue with the Bachelor's of Law Studies as new law students. The pre-law program will focus on skills and knowledge needed to begin the law program. Attention is paid to subjects like Dutch, Kingdom Affairs, and study skills. And the pre-law program is offered here in St. Martin to prepare those persons who would like to study law. It aims at those persons with a HBO or a high school level English, and the program will start on October 1st, and registration is still possible at the website of the University of Curaçao. I thank you.
Thank you, Minister Samuel, for your opening remarks. At this time, I would like to invite the Honorable Minister of Public Housing, Spatial Planning, Environment, and Infrastructure, Egbert Duran, to address you. Minister Duran, you have the floor.
Good morning, Prime Minister, colleague ministers, members of the media, CoM, and a special good morning to the people of St. Martin. Today, I have a few brief updates in regards to the Ministry of Vrumi. I'll start off with the guardrails. We recently had a public tender for the guardrails around the island. We are now in the evaluation stage, and hopefully that can be finalized ASAP so that we can start with the dire repairs that are needed for the island-wide guardrails. In regards to the Prince Bernard Bridge, an information session is scheduled for September 23rd. An information session is scheduled for September 23rd, where respective persons in the community that are interested in bidding would have the opportunity to get information and clarity regarding the scope of works on the project. The tender date is scheduled for October 18th, 2022, and hopefully that can start as well soon after. We are currently picking up, in regards to the CarRex program, we are currently picking up CarRex in the area of Cahill. We are doing a district-based approach. We started in Simpson Bay a couple of weeks ago. We're now moving on to Cahill, and step by step, we'll continue with the various districts. Persons that have CarRex or see CarRex on public domain can send an email to minvromi@stmartingov.org with pictures, and then we can have that forwarded to the team. So minvromi@stmartingov.org. In regards to the trenches, we are, as I mentioned last week, we were busy with the various cleaning of trenches in and around the island. The following areas have been dealt with thus far because they were deemed more urgent than the others: the old government building, parking lot trench, and the grills and the drains, Ground Dove Road, in the area of the harbor, Foga Trench, the trench in Sucker Garden, Guadalupe Trench, Seikos Gut, Elby Scott Road, Mary Fancies, the one in Dutch Quarter in Garden of Eden, and also on the Waterfront Road. We are busy constantly with the various assessments on the urgent cleaning of those specific trenches. and that should be finalized within the next week. That will be all for now, Ms. Roach, and I look forward to any questions members of the media might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Duran. Before we continue, I would like to re-invite Minister Edion. Minister Edion, you have the floor.
Yes, I would like to make a comment on 2 points that the Minister of Rummy brought up, and that will be, I'll be the bad guy in this area. When it comes to guardrails, I discussed with the Minister of Rummy that going forward, the government will not be responsible or paying for guardrails that are damaged or any public property that are damaged by persons. So yes, this will be more than likely, hopefully our last time that we are covering guardrails of persons that damage them. The persons that damage public property will be held accountable going forward, and we'll be starting this process very soon. Also, in regards to car wrecks, it's a similar message. It's something that I've been promoting for a while now. When it comes to car wrecks, also, it's already in the law. It's already illegal to have car wrecks visible at certain locations. It's part of our law already. So when it comes to accountability in these areas, we will start enforcement of these processes between the Ministry of Rummy, myself, and the Ministry of Justice. So just again, when it comes to accountability on public property and the damage caused, we will be holding individuals accountable going forward.
Thank you, Minister Edion. At this time, I would like to invite the Honorable Prime Minister and Minister of General Affairs, Silveira Jacobs, to address you. Prime Minister Jacobs, you have the floor.
Thank you, Rolika. Good morning. Good morning to you, my colleagues. Good morning to the listening and viewing public. Good morning to the media. As you all know, yesterday was the opening of the parliamentary year. I'd like to extend congratulations to the members of parliament and wish them much strength in their deliberations and decision-making moving forward. Of course, always keeping the people of St. Martin as our primary focus. Also, it was the last opening speech by His Excellency Governor Eugene B. Holliday. As we all know, as we come closer and closer to the 10th of October, whereby we'll be swearing in a new governor, it is always a little bit poignant and sad that it is actually the last one that he will do for the opening of Parliament, though we will have some other closing activities with His Excellency. You had to stop and take notice that this was his last one as governor of St. Martin. I'd also like to extend congratulations to Miss Tatiana Illis, known as Taffy, the swimmer of St. Martin, who has participated in Carifta and other international swim meets and flown the flag of St. Martin at these international competitions. She was awarded the President of Parliament Youth Award yesterday as well, and her parents were on hand to receive this award while she gave a virtual thank you speech. So we're very, very proud of her and her achievements, as well as all those senior organizations who continue to do our seniors proud, standing for them, ensuring that, especially many of them being subsidized by government, but of course we need the boots on the ground, and they are the ones that execute the work, even as government subsidize them yearly. So congratulations to you for all your hard volunteer work in keeping up with the needs of our seniors. On the Minister of General Affairs, I'd like to update that the Civil Registry Department is currently working diligently to clean up the basic administration. It's the upholding PIVA. As you know, there was a training that took place last couple of weeks ago. However, the goal is that we would reach each citizen and ensure that they are properly registered in our basic administration. There have been many incorrect addresses noted in the past, and of course, only when it's too late then people say, but that's not my address. It is the responsibility of the resident to, when you change your address, to come into civil registry and have that change within the basic administrations. This is also difficult in terms of when mail is going, it's going to the wrong addresses, and that's happening quite a lot lately as well. So persons that are registered in the basic administration and have changed their address, you are expected to do so within a particular amount of time. You will also receive letters. If you do not react to the letters within 4 weeks, then you will receive a second letter 4 weeks after that, if you're still not receiving any responses, the civil registry can then start the process to deregister. So to avoid yourself being deregistered from our basic administration, it is imperative that you inform the civil registry of your current address as soon as possible. So if you know you fall within that bracket of having moved and therefore the letters will go to an address where you do not reside, I encourage you to make this known to the Department of Civil Registry of your new address. I'd like to also update that we are continuing to work diligently to provide the framework for electoral reform. As such, a survey was created, which we're still awaiting further participation from the general public. We will be launching the town halls in the next few weeks, but do take your time to go and respond to that survey so that we can get a better idea of the general public's opinion in that regard. I do look forward to the public awareness campaign as well that we will be bringing forth in all mediums, as well as those engagements with the population. Parliament is also on their own trajectory. We've had that meeting, both open and closed door with the technical teams, and we will continue to work on our trajectories while coordinating with each other to ensure that we get the most out of this process. We are still in the midst of the hurricane season, so I encourage you to visit our website and government page to stay prepared, including www.meteosxm.com. Tune in to St. Martin Gov Radio 107.9 for tips on how to prepare and for any official statements that will come as a result of any threats out there. I do know that there are some invests forming, and we are monitoring those, but we ask the population to remain vigilant, be prepared, and ensure that you have all on hand should any, measures be needed. In the matter of NVGEBE, I know that there's a lot of questions. There are a lot of questions circulating. As I mentioned before, government had taken its resolution. The special representative and temporary manager has been appointed. He has also gone through the process with the supervisory board to be officially acting in that function. As you know, they are the ones that would have to sign contracts and the like, and all of that now has been completed. And I believe his start was yesterday. So we're looking forward to gathering the necessary information. As you know, I'm also scheduled to go back to Parliament. However, information has still not been forthcoming to be able to do so, and I am awaiting then. I'm going to give him at least a week the time to be able to gather the necessary information and the answers to the questions. And of course, continue to keep the lights on, as he will have to ensure that the management continues, that we're getting up to date with the billing, etc. And I do take this time to encourage the people of St. Martin to continue to pay on a monthly basis if you have not received a bill as yet, and especially for those who have received bills, to start to pay to avoid any problems. Of course, the management, the temporary management, will ensure to properly update the public. As you know, some other deadlines had been set forth as to how that would work. But of course, we do not want to move over to anyone having to lose power or water. So please ensure that you've made contact with the customer service department to be able to make payments on your bill. With that being said, Rolika, I will leave it there for now, and I look forward to any questions that I am able to respond to.
Thank you, Prime Minister Jacobs, for your opening remarks. If you've just joined us, you are watching the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, September 14th, 2022. Thank you for joining us. Before we move on to the question and answer session, I would like to inform that the Minister of Justice, the Honorable Anna Richardson, is present, however, will not be making any opening statements, but available for any questions the media may have. The floor is open, and Bibi Hart Shaw of SMN News, you're up.
Thank you, Rolika. Good morning, ministers. Good morning, colleagues. My question this morning is for the Minister of Romy. Minister, I heard you mention it, but I'd like to get some further clarity into the bidding process for the trench cleaning. Minister, it is my understanding that this process is not yet completed and SOAB was called in. Can you tell us why you had to call in SOAB in this process? And at the same time, can you shed some light in the court case that just started for Over the Bank?
That's a pretty loaded question. I'll start with the trenches. As I mentioned, the bidding process did take place. However, the awarding was not completed as yet. The ministry recently engaged SOAB to reperform a technical review of what was submitted because of some internal concerns brought forward by staff. So it hasn't reached my desk as yet for finalization. So we're doing our proper due diligence to make sure that everything goes correct this time. As you know, the ministry has been the center of controversy regarding bidding and so forth. So I'm dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's to make sure that we have a set way of doing things moving forward. And any concerns that are brought forward, we have to make sure go through the proper channels to make sure, check that they are addressed correctly. The reason why SOAB was brought in, because I mean, SOAB is our partner in regards to different projects and our processes and so forth. So I believe that that was a perfect suggestion from the cabinet, and we're moving forward with that, and I look forward to that being completed very soon. I would say better safe than sorry. In regards to the second question, can you provide me 2 minutes to just get an update on it, and I'll come back to it.
Okay. Thank you, Minister Duran, and thank you, Bibi, for the question. Linda Brown of BCN TV, you have the floor.
Good morning to the people of St. Martin and the ministers that are present here today. Question to the Minister of Justice. Minister of Justice, is it your concern that after time there are court case and then the government end up lose and they have the person who win have to be compensated, Minister? And maybe I can tag the Minister of Finance also into it. But it caused a dent in government finance, Minister. And then is it all the time that when there is a problem that you have to go all the way? Isn't there another way instead of go all the way?
Pleasant good morning to all tuned in, to my colleagues, Prime Minister, Ms. Roach, and to the media, as well as a good morning to all of our senior citizens. Mr. Brown, it is one's constitutional right to be able to utilize all the systems that are afforded to us. And if persons are displeased with the manner in which things are going, and they wish to use the court system to be able to get a decision in the matter, I can't go against that. Of course, I would like it if we can come to amicable decisions and agreements that would avoid having to spend money in that way, but there's no real way to be able to not have that happen if that is what the person feels is necessary. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Minister Richardson. Minister Duran.
Thank you, Ms. Roach. I'll respond to the question posed by Ms. Shaw. Indeed, seven persons filed a case against government claiming to have rights in long lease and over the bank. The judge did not agree with those persons' claim in the preliminary decision. The judge indicated that until a decision is decided in the Bodoms Act, a standstill was ordered to allow more detailed handling of the matter. To government's knowledge, none of the persons filed an appeal against the decision. So based on the information that we have, no one filed an appeal against the decision of the judge that it was not granted, their wishes were not granted. February, April, May, March, June, July went by, and the over-the-bank 7 persons did not begin the Bodoms Act as no appeal was filed. So then government initiated an appeal, initiated the Bodoms Act in order to get clarity on the entire situation. The judge also ruled that it was not done transparent in the previous, in 2016. Therefore, as a council of ministers, we discussed it. I brought it forward. I brought forward the legal opinions that I requested as well. And we decided the best way to get clarity on the situation is to follow the instruction of the judge and have a Bodoms Act. I did take note of an article in the Daily Herald a couple of days ago where it says, I think something along the lines, Duran summons citizens to court. I do find it unfortunate, again, but not surprising that the Herald did not even indicate or request a comment from a person. I did see, however, comments from members of parliament, which you ask yourself, okay, how is that even relevant if we're dealing with a governmental body, so to speak? Nevertheless, it was not a summons. The judge ruled that we need to decide in a Bodoms Act, and we initiated the Bodoms Act. It is not normal or not customary that government would initiate cases. It's normally cases are started against government, and majority of the time government was not successful in cases. So indeed, I could maybe understand the confusion on some ends. However, I believe that clarity is needed in the situation. Many ministers came and kicked the can down the road, and I think from 2014 to now, the public does deserve clarity and closure, and we deal with the situation as best as possible. At the end of the day, there's no winners in this situation, in my humble opinion. However, I'm not going to dwell too much on it, and let's see how the court rules, and whatever decision is made once all the legal bodies are exhausted, and we just comply with whatever decision is made. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Dran. I would now like to invite Andrew Dick of TV Carib. You have the floor.
Thank you, Rolika, and good morning to the ministers. My question is for the Prime Minister concerning the GEBE you just mentioned. What's the period that the temporary manager would stay there? For how long?
Thank you for the question, Mr. Dick. As per our resolution, not counting the management that is there right now, until such time as the investigation is done or that a new statutory director is appointed. As you know, there are supposed to be 3. So at current, we have 1. If another is appointed in the meantime, that is not part of the investigation, then that person would then take over. Or if the investigation ends prior.
Thank you, Prime Minister Jacobs, and thank you, Andrew. We now move on to the second round. Bibi Hadshaw, you have the floor.
Thank you, Rolika. I will ask a follow-up to my colleague's question, since we are on GEBE, Prime Minister. What about a crisis management team? And do you know if GEBE will go ahead and have their party next week? And this morning, I'm hearing there's a big scandal about the $75 voucher being given out to staff. I mean, does GEBE have the money for that? And that's a follow-up. My second question, the Minister of Finance. Minister, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, you mentioned here that there was an investigation taking place at the receiver's office. Can you tell us if anyone was suspended, if that person has been arrested at any point in time, or if that person is now a patient at the Mental Health Foundation?
Prime Minister Jacobs?
Yes. Sorry, I thought you were going with the direct question first. In follow-up to the question regarding NVGEBE, the supervisory board and management have temporary management at the moment, have the, let's say, the cadres, the framework in which they have to work, but the actual working out of the crisis team, who will be in it, etc., is to be decided at management level with collaboration from the supervisory board. The priorities of getting continuous operations, keeping the operations continuous, ensuring that the billing system, et cetera, is brought up to par, and that we secure the finances and the viability of the company's priority, whilst the investigation will be separate to that. Any plans that had been made by previous management will be reviewed by our representative, and that will then be communicated to the company. So I wouldn't want to go into any details. As a matter of fact, I would like to state here that sometimes you have some inside information that isn't necessarily at the shareholders level. We do have to maintain some level of corporate governance in the keeping the high level and allowing the management to deal with the day-to-day runnings of the company. Of course, now in this situation, we will receive more frequent reports. However, we're not going to go into the nitty-gritty of the details, and we'll have the management address any and all of those. For me, important with GEBE is that we have continued service and that we can maintain our creditors, including our clients, the people of St. Martin, getting correct billing, etc.
In regards to your question regarding the receivers, yes, one person was suspended. The matter is still under investigation. and I don't know about any mental health situation.
Thank you, Minister Eden. Thank you, Prime Minister Jacobs. I would now like to invite Lyndon Brown. You have the floor.
Question to the Minister of Fromey. Yes, Minister, you have been blamed intentionally and intensely about the over-the-bank problem. Minister, but this is an inheritance. The court has mentioned that the owners, the people who claim in the land, it wasn't the owner, government was the owner, it have been said months ago. But now, why you are the one to be blamed, Minister? You find that you have been targeting intentionally, Minister?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Brown. I see it as no matter who is in the seat, it's the office. So that is definitely the case. What the judge ruled, and that was clear, as I mentioned before, is that the minister of 2016 who issued the so-called draft decrees that were not official, not dated, not stamped, no div number, which is customary in the process, did not act in accordance with good governance. So the case was thrown out based on the seven persons that took government to court in a injunction case. And the judge then ruled that in order to get more clarity on the entire situation, it should go into a Bodum's Act, which is the court of first instance where a formal decision can be made. So that is the stage where we are in. But however, we are in a political arena, and therefore it's maybe more popular to say that this minister is who messed it up. But I think it was messed up before. We even had other ministers, I think Minister Emmanuel of 2017, who promised to issue more land and issue the same land that was already issued before. So I think it's important. That was also published and also mentioned in the verdict as well. So I think it's important to put all the facts on the table. And I'm not running from responsibility. I mean, I have broad shoulders now, especially after 2 years being in the position. And I see where a lot of improvements can be made, and we're working towards them step by step.
Thank you, Minister Dran, and thank you, Lyndon. Andrew Dick, you have the floor. Members of the media and the viewing and listening public, also please note this will be Minister Edion's last round of questions. Andrew, you have the floor.
Oh, no, then let me ask. The question is for the Minister of Finance concerning an update on the shipyard payment to government. In 2019, a motion was passed by Parliament, but there was no follow-up announcement on whether any collection took place. Did any collection take place, Minister?
Thank you for your question. I will have to follow up on the collection specifically about that in the motion of Parliament. I don't think it's stated for us to report it back, but I have to confirm on that. I have to confirm if any collection was made.
Okay.
Thank you, Minister Edion. We now move on.
Oh, Minister.
Minister Dran.
Thank you, Ms. Roach. I didn't get an opportunity to update the Minister of Finance. However, there was a court verdict a couple months ago, and the motion that was passed in 2019, we were actually members of Parliament at the time, and this did come up in the court case as well. And I had an update because I saw the article late last night, so we already had the information readily available. Just to give an update, the Court of First Instance ruled in government's favor against Shipyard regarding the termination of the long lease. On the basis of the fact that they have significant amount in outstanding canon owed, the court ruled that the long lease were justifiable and terminated on 24th of April 2020. According to the information received, no payments of the owed canons have been paid for the long lease property thus far. Shipyard, Envy, and others had to vacate the property, and there are apparently items still remaining on the property. A couple months ago, we had a Deurwaarder and also the inspection department go to inspect the property, and that was still the case. Currently, the case is in litigation because the judgment has been appealed, and we are still awaiting the final outcome of the case. So that is basically the most real-time update that we have on the moment based on the Shipyard case. Thank you, Relika.
Thank you, Minister Duran, and thank you, Andrew. We now move on to the third round of questions. Bibi, you have the floor.
Thank you, Rolaika. My question is for the Ministry of Justice, and I believe I'm also going to ask the Minister of Romy to weigh in on this. I wish the Minister of VSR was here, or Tiat, if anybody else can chip in on it, would be good. There was a report out on the issuance of permits and license and how long it takes for people to receive answers, for example, on residence permit, even work permits, and even permits from the Ministry of Romy. Can you tell us what the various ministries are doing to fast track the process and even make it, a little more comfortable for people that are applying? Minister, also you mentioned at some point in time that you would have given persons a grace period to regulate their statuses, persons that were probably victimized by employers. Can you tell us if that grace period went into effect? If so, when, and when will it come to an end?
Thank you, Bibi, for your question. If I may, I'd like to kind of restate what you did, though, in the sense of not giving a grace period, because I don't want this to come over as a blanket approach. I always have an issue with this mic. I don't want it to come across like a blanket approach, because it's not. What it is an opportunity for businesses to do right by their staff who has been with them for at least 5 years or more. And so it's not a case that someone could just begin working with an institution today and they're a part of that program. We have a lot of persons over the last 2 years we've experienced coming into the immigration department with job letters, and these job letters are confirming that they've been working with these institutions for many years. And when asked, why aren't you or your employer not filing for you, the answer is they just wish not to. And that is breaking the law. We are trying, because it's such in mass numbers, we are trying to regulate this in a better way. And oftentimes the reasoning given is pretty much what you stated, that the process takes too long. But I am of the found position, and that you at least can prove that you submitted an application, then the onus is no longer on you. But if you choose not to apply, then you are literally and intentionally breaking the law. So we want to be able to move away from that. And indeed, we have some challenges with our administration. It does take a long while. I am in discussion with my management, in particular at immigration, to see and discover why that is. In most instances, it has to do with being short-staffed. And government hands are tied in a lot of ways, which we know, in terms of being able to hire persons. We are trying to be able to train our staff, give them the support that they need. But in a lot of ways, a lot of persons are burnt out as well. They've done this for many years. They'd like to do something different. They have their own grievances as to what they're displeased with. And a lot of people lose their motivation to be able to contribute 100% or as they used to in the past. And we want to be able to find ways to meet them and regulate and fix the situation. But everything can't be done overnight. And financing does contribute to the limitations there as well. So, I am very much so aware that we have our challenges within the immigration department. We are trying our best to fix that. And we will find a way to get that done as soon as possible. Yeah. So I do apologize for the inconvenience that most persons are feeling, but I do believe as well, once you have proof that you've submitted your application, you're in a better standing than having none. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Richardson. Thank you, BB. Lyndon, you have the floor.
Christian, to the
One
Prime
moment,
Minister.
Lyndon. We would allow Minister Duran.
Yes, because I think the question was concerning permits from Romeo as well. As I mentioned, I must apologize for the inconvenience that the public has been facing for the last, I believe, more than a decade of backlogs. However, one of the things that I explained last time, and that will be coming up in training it was also mentioned in the governor's address regarding the building code, is that we will be holding an information session with architects, so that, because what happens is we get a lot of instances where permits are submitted with a lot of errors in it. So when we do the training session, we would then look at a way to certify architects And when persons apply, we would have a list of certified architects. So once we receive an application from this architect that went through the training, it will then go on a different stack to be fast-tracked, so to speak, because there are less errors. What we face, the challenge that we face within VROMI with the evaluators is that they are busy correcting the work of the architect and basically doing all the work of the architect with the multiple corrections that need to go out. And this definitely plays a major role in stagnating the process. So that is the idea and thinking that we're busy with as a ministry. And I'm 100% convinced that this will speed up the process.
Thank you, Minister Duran. Lyndon, you have the floor.
Question to the Prime Minister. Prime Minister, recently you emphasized some new condition about the media. You also emphasize the level. But Minister, you need to make it clear once and for all, because up to now there are some parliamentarians who are still emphasize that you intentionally wanted to shut up the media. And I know this slogan will come into the campaign in time to come, in months. So I'm asking you, maybe it will be very good, make it very clear. What was your intention finally, Prime Minister?
Thank you for the question. Indeed, the discussion on media and the media policy did get a lot of, let's call it, negative attention. Some people say all attention is good attention. I might tend to differ with that, because definitely the intention of the government, because it was a Council of Ministers decision, DCOM falls with me. The media policy was a media policy that was in process, or to my understanding, had already been vetted by the media, the 2017 one, which was confirmed, though maybe the current sitting journalists would not have been part of the process, their media houses were. In any case, the addendum or the changes made for 2022 did not go through that process. So indeed, we had to pull up the handbrakes, and we did the necessary consultations. The intention was never to smother or stop or not give people a voice. It is indeed that as government, we do have to set the policy in which we will engage with the public, engage with policy, with the policy. And that has gone through the process now, and the adjusted version has been recently approved in the Council of Ministers. Never was the intention to shut anyone up. We send out our press releases. We're open to questions here on the floor. And of course, if we have a press conference, that will be done. In fact, what we had done, which was undone, was we put together the media policy with the press briefing policy in one document. It was decided after the consultation to let it remain as two separate documents as it was before, and that is what was approved. So if politicians will be politicians and will use any opportunity to throw shade, but I will always remain resolute in my transparency to the people of St. Martin. And at the end of the day, it was in reaction not just to the Council of Ministers taking a decision, but the reaction of the public to the level of our press briefings. Of course, we want to maintain a high level, and therefore we have to set the structure for that.
Thank you, Prime Minister Jacobs, and thank you, Lyndon. Andrew, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Rebecca. My question is to the Minister of Justice concerning the Victim Support Bureau. Long time you haven't get an update concerning that.
Thank you very much. What's the update that I have for you? There were some finalizations that needed to take place with the incorporation of the board. There were some changes there. We have identified a director of, I'm hoping, as I think I stated earlier this month or last month, that by the end of September, we should have our finalization and hopefully the ribbon cutting of Victim Support Services officially in its new location. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Richardson, and thank you, Andrew. Members of the media viewing and listening public, this does bring us to the end of the question and answer session. Members of the media, thank you so much for joining us. Any further questions can be sent to the Minister's Cabinet in writing. Honorable ministers of the council, members of the media, radio listeners, and online viewers, this brings us to the end of the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, September 14th, 2022. For rebroadcast, tune into St. Martin Gov Radio via 107.9 FM, Tell TV Plus, the official Facebook page of the Government of St. Martin, YouTube channel Government of St. Martin, and TV 15. For video on demand, log on to the Government of St. Martin's YouTube channel. On behalf of the Department of Communication and the Government of St. Martin, I'm Roleka Roach and wishing you a pleasant day further.